Well, hello there. My name is Cody C. Engdahl, and I am your tour guide on this journey as we go through the pitfalls and the summits of being a independent author like myself. I do not claim to be an expert in any of these topics that we talk about, but I'm certainly somebody on the path and somebody that has a fair amount of experience. Who the hell am I? Well, I've published 5 novels and 2 nonfiction works, and I just started my 6th novel now, which is called the French Fiasco, where I'm already in the midst of chapter 2 writing that one. We'll have more on that, but today our subject. By the way, before we get any further, I just want to say this right off the bat. This show is very loose. I'm gonna try to do it at least weekly, unless I got a lot of things happening, and then I might do it more often during that time. But at the minimum, I'm going to try to do every week. I do book reviews. I talk about my own path as an independent author. From time to time, I may also have other authors on because I very much believe in, and part of this is promoting other people and helping other people. There are a few authors that I coach. Not officially, but they're people that I've helped get published on KDP, or they're people that that from time to time will ask me questions. I'm very proud and very happy to do that. I have had people on this show, and I plan to have more. It's a weird place because I've noticed that in the author world, period, the literary world, everybody's at a different strata. It's very, stratified. Where there are people who have never published a book in their life and they're just getting started. There are people who are super famous rock star authors that probably will never know who I am or even deign to talk to me. And then there's everybody in between. And so when so not everything is, first of all, it's not a zero-sum game, meaning like if I promote somebody and my viewers or my followers go buy their book, it doesn't mean they're not going to buy mine too. Or they might not be interested in my books, but they're interested in that person's book. That's great. I think that promoting reading and literacy, and of course encouraging authors, just kind of builds the whole thing and makes us a bigger reading society. And in a reading society is a smarter society, a better informed one, and I think we could use that. So there's my being great. Anyway, I take very long to say simple things. What I want to say is that if you're an author and you would like to come on and talk about your book, I'd love to have you on. If I haven't asked you, it's probably because I'm shy. I have had weird instances where I asked somebody and then oh, yeah, that's great. And then I kept getting like, well, maybe next week. And then I realized maybe this person is just trying to give me a hint, and I should stop asking. So to not put anybody in the spot, I leave it up to you if you want to come on and talk. Right now, this channel is not that big. But we're hoping to get this bigger. I'd like to get to 1,000 subscribers. So this is the point in which I'm supposed to say, smash that like button, give me a subscription. Subscription doesn't cost anything. I think memberships are, but I'm not even doing that. This is just free. If you subscribe to my channel, what it mostly means is that you can decide how you want to be notified, but you might be notified when I have a new video out, or I follow a lot of people or subscribe to a lot of people on YouTube. I don't get notifications because I turn that off. But what does happen is when I go onto YouTube and I just want some filler, usually I like to listen to other people while I'm doing things like cleaning or whatever, cooking. I can look at my subscriptions and I can say, oh, so-and-so's got a new video out. I'm going to listen to that. So that's kind of the same thing. If I get 1,000 subscribers, then either 1,000 subscribers or 10,000 viewing hours, Amazon will monetize this channel, meaning they're going to make you watch video commercials anyway, but then I start getting a cut out of that. So that's kind of my goal right now, is to get to 1,000. And I think I'm almost halfway there. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, this is, like I said, this channel is to talk about my my journey in this, and we'll get started right away on the topic because I've got a lot to say about this. Very disappointed in Amazon KDP in the way that they ship their books now, which is a new thing. It's a new problem. I'd like to, yeah, I think I'm going to flip flop this. I'm going to start with the problem. I'm going to show you some pictures, and let me just say that. Oh, hang on a second. I'm going to fix this here. Okay, I'm hide that, and this is all live, folks. So you're getting a very raw, unedited show here. And I think Amazon would prefer that here we go. I think Amazon would prefer that that I did short videos. I think that's how you grow your channel, but I like doing it live. I'm better if I just go off the cuff than if I'm scripted. And so that's the way I'm kind of going to go with. Okay, let's see here. Add to the stage. Okay. First of all, let me just set this up. So if you ever wondered about me and my publisher is Amazon itself. I am part of what's called the KDP program. It's for independent authors like myself. It's a way to cutting out the middleman. You still have to write good books. You still have to have quality control. You can't just upload books that are poorly written with tons of typos and problems like that. It's got to be a good product that they can sell. That being said, it may be something nobody wants. The other thing is you're also responsible for doing all your own marketing, and that's why you see me do a lot of my online marketing. And part of that program is the biggest thing is the reason why I went with Amazon KDP is I have complete creative control. So there's no agent, there's no editor saying you need to do Nazis, Romans, or Vikings because that's all that sells. I get to choose what I want to do. I have editors that help me with, that read through my books and help me with mostly just, copy editing like typos, but they also help me with like, hey, this character here, or, you changed the name here, or this doesn't make sense. And so I get a little bit of that on my own, kind of like my own, I'm basically my own micro publishing house, which is called Angel House. But what I really wanted when I first started writing in either a publisher or however I was going to go is I wanted worldwide distribution and creative freedom, which is exactly what Amazon gives me. In fact, right now, if you're in the UK, my book, Mexico My Love, is 99 pence, and I'm running ads for that both on Amazon and Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram combined. So if you're in the UK and you're watching this right now, hop on over to Amazon. You can check out Mexico My Love for 99 pence. If you need help, just go down into the description of this video, and there's a link to my author page, and it's a universal link. So if you're in the UK, it'll take you to amazon.co.uk. If you're in Germany, it'll take you to amazon.co.de, which for Deutschland, and so on. So the other thing that Amazon KDP does is, first of all, I'm able to sell digital books, soft covers or paperbacks, hardcovers, audio, and I'm on Kindle Unlimited, which means if you pay a monthly fee, you can read all of my books for free. And then I get like somewhere a little less than half a penny per page that you read. But one of the other things that they do is they allow you to buy books at cost, basically. So I can buy a box of books at cost, meaning like a book that's normally like, they're selling for $12. I get it for a lot less, and then I'm able to sell them myself, which is great because I do a lot of events. And I will say this, I didn't. And when I first got started, I didn't want to do that at all. In fact, when I first got started, I was only going to do digital. And then I found out that, well, it's pretty easy to do, paperbacks and all that as well. And to be honest with you, if you look at my sales on Amazon, and it's kind of like I'm running two different businesses. One is Amazon, and the other one is the direct sales that I do. I did not want to get into direct sales. But on Amazon, but I'm willing to do it, and I do it. On Amazon, I make about a quarter of my sales from physical books. Everything else is either the digital books or the Kindle Unlimited, and I'm just now beginning to make some money on the audiobooks as well. So that's something to know. Now that can change by genre, but it's digital books is really where it's at when it comes to Amazon. I still sell hard, paperbacks and hardcovers. I do, and it's still a significant amount of my income that I keep up with it, but it's not the majority of my income. And so when it comes to direct sales, I didn't want to do it. It's an additional amount of work that's kind of outside of what I feel is my profession, which is I'm a writer first. But I will say this: I believe that I'm really good. I'm what they call the art of the soft sale, so that when I do events and things like that, I talk to people. I don't pressure them. I even give them plenty outs. Like, hey, you know what? If you're not interested in buying any of these books right now, and you think about it 2 weeks from today, and you're like, man, I wish I would have bought one of those, I'm on Amazon, so you don't have to buy anything right now. And I think when I tell people that, they're like, I think I'm going to get one now anyway, because I can get it signed by this guy. And I got into direct sales originally because when I first started publishing, I had people say, Cody, how do I get a signed book from you? And I'm like, fuck, how do I do that? And at first I was like, do I have them buy it from Amazon, send it to me, I sign it, send it? No, so I started buying boxes of them. And then I started getting invited to do talks, and I love doing talks. I got a couple coming up, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And I go to a talk. I think a good night or a good day. I do talks and events and things like that. If I sell one, I always say it's worth it. If I sell just one, and even though it's a financial loss and a time loss, at least another physical book is out there in the ether, and that person may read it, set it down, lend it to someone else reads it, said, this is great, I want more, go to Amazon, buy more books. So every book I sell is like a calling card that someone can read and then go on and get the rest of them. So it's always worth it to me. I'll tell you this though, what's not worth it to me, and this may be different for you, but what's not worth it to me is I have a rule. And my rule is, it started with music, but it goes on with the writing too. I don't pay to play. I do not pay to play, which means I don't pay for tables at events. If someone says, hey, we got an event, would you like a table? Sure. Well, that'll be $85. No, thank you. Because honestly, for $85 that I would spend on a table, I will be lucky if I break even. Lucky at that. And if you got to think about, because my profit, I keep my profit margin so small that I keep my books as cheap as possible so that people can afford them, basically. And I want to get past that. Like, I want it within the range of what do you call it? Compulsive buy, within the range of people's discretionary spending. So if you're like, yeah, this is a reasonable, they're not super cheap, and I still make pretty good money. But for me to make it, and that's not like, okay, for example, Rampage on the River, right? They sell for $10, $99.99. Okay, well, if you sell 10 of those, that's $100. That covers it. No, it doesn't, because I'm paying for those books first, which is a little under $4. So I make about $6 on it. But so really I made 60. So I'm still down, $25 for an $85 table. And I've seen tables go for like 150. So I don't pay to play. And that's fine. And I understand some of these events are like, hey man, sorry, everybody's got to pay for their table. That's fine. I understand that you got to make your money, but that doesn't mean I don't make money. And so I wish you all the best. I'm going to sit this one out. And that's just a blanket rule. I do not pay to play. And that started a long time ago with the moonlight picking parties in Nashville. where you had to pay to get in, and then you could go, pick and play your fiddle with other people. I don't pay to play. I am still willing sometimes to do it for free. I often get paid when I do gigs, not always. Sometimes I make tips. Sometimes I don't get a penny at all. So it all depends. But if my feeling is this though, if there's a benefit to me, because even if I get the table for free, like for example, I did the Mid South show, and they comp me a table every year, and the trade off is I play fiddle all day long at my table when I'm not selling books, when I'm not like actually talking to people selling books, and I'm a speaker. So, and they like it because they say that I add to the atmosphere. And so I'm giving something back. So it's worth it to them. It's not worth it for me to pay for a table. The guys that are selling like, $1,000 muskets. Yeah, they sell one musket. They paid for their table for the whole weekend. But even getting that free, I still have to drive out there, which is a 4-hour drive there, 4-hour drive back. So imagine the gas, even though I have a compact Prius, still costs me in gas. I have to pay for my own hotel room, which I use points, but still those are points I can use somewhere else, and all the meals. So even free, even getting a free table, it's when you factor the time and the money spent, I'm lucky if I break through, but I'm happy to do it because I meet new readers and people who will buy my books at my table and then continue to buy my books as they come out. So it's always worth it to me. It's always worth it to me to drive somewhere, to spend all day, even if I'm not making a ton of money off it. I'm still beating her, creating a readership, getting to know people, getting to be known. And every once in a while, like, I went up to Illinois to the symposium that they paid me $500. They put me in a fancy hotel and they took me out for a fancy chicken dinner, man, with wine and everything. That was great. And every once in a while I get paid. I've done some of these groups where they gave me like $100 for gas or whatever. But the big payoff is if they buy my book. So that's basically the setup here. So when I first started buying books, I found that ordering them in a box of 20 was perfect. I looked at like shipping costs, and I did the math. Like if I buy 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, I found that 20 was the best unit. If I buy 20 and then whatever it is to ship, you can't get free shipping on this because that's the one thing. Like on Amazon, if you spend X amount of dollars, you get free shipping. Now, when it comes to books, because they're giving you those books at cost, they're not making any money off it, so you have to pay for the shipping. And when they come, they come tightly packed in a box with shipping material in there to keep them from bouncing around. And every once in a while, maybe some of the corners were a little damaged, and I'm very careful about that. But if there's some of them aren't so perfect, okay, that's fine. That's fine. But now it's becoming now. Oh, and I'll tell you this: if there is truly something wrong, Amazon's really great. If I say, hey, 1 or 2 of these are no good, no problem. Bring them to a UPS store. We'll pay to ship them back, and we'll refund you the money for those. Great. Until recently, and I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, I cannot get a box of decent author copies from Amazon anymore without them being damaged. And I'll show you. I got a box of Rampage on the River yesterday. And my rule is once I get under 10 copies in my inventory, I order another box of 20s, unless I know I have events coming. And then I'll order more if I know that I'm going to need more than that. This is what I want to put this up. Okay, add to the stage. Here we go. So this is how they came. Oh no, this is not yesterday. This is the package before that. This came a couple weeks ago. And if you can see here, I'm going to switch over so I can look at this better. Yeah, what you can see here is They just toss them in here, and just a little bit of material, all this empty space. The books are flopping around in that box as they're being, once they're packed, the people handling the boxes, they don't care. They're just throw them in the back of a truck. They're getting tossed around. The delivery driver sets them upright or in a weird position, so the books tumble around in there. And here's the result. This is a good example right here. Look at these. I'm not going to sell this. I can't sell this to anybody. I can't say, hey, you got to pay full price for this book that's all folded up. People want me to sign these. For some people, it's a collector's item. Here we go. See, bent corners, and maybe there's another version of it. If I felt like if there was like one or two like this, okay. But when I looked at this is how they packaged it, there's no excuse for that. Especially since I know that I used to get full boxes, everything's fine. So I actually sent back most of these. Now they're always really good at like no questions asked. And I write in the little description. They were poorly packaged. They showed up. They've been banged up and all that kind of stuff. No problem. It's got to cost them something though. I'm going through my pictures here because I probably should do this off camera. We'll get back to that. Here we go. Everything's a nightmare. Okay. This is the last box I got. Look at that. That's how they came. And what's this? What was this package material supposed to do? I mean, this is literally like the box is waiting for me. I got home. I sat on my kitchen table, opened up, and this is exactly how they looked when I opened them up. You got to be fucking kidding me, man. And what's infuriating to me is that, yeah, okay, they're willing to replace anything, or not replace, but refund anything that comes damaged. But I still have to go now to the UPS store and sometimes wait in line to return these now. And it's awfully wasteful. And I hear a lot of times the damaged ones, they don't get rid of them. They just ship them back out to you when you order more. It's infuriating. And one of the things that drives me nuts is that I can't even show them these pictures. I can describe to them what happens. I don't think anybody's reading it because it's all automated. They're like, okay, send them back and you'll get a refund. Yeah, okay, that's great. I get my money back. But what I really wanted was 20 of these books in pristine condition. And I pulled 6 out of this. 6 of them were passable. And even those were like, they could have been better. They were a little warped, but I put some weight on them and they're going to be fine by the time I sell them. But I shouldn't have to do that at all. And I should be able to, and this is what's really bad. I should be able to, with confidence, order these because I have events coming up and I need to have stock to do the events. Let me show you. Now, I am not the only person who's having this problem here. The only way I found that I could talk to them or show them is to go, and I think I heard Brian Cohen say this, like if you got problems with Amazon and you want to get their attention, at them on Twitter. That typically gets their attention. By the way, I did talk to somebody on the phone, and she's, seemed like she cared and promised that there wouldn't be any more problems, but I think that's a lie. I think she's just telling that to get an irate customer off the phone. I want to show you. Yeah, I'm really bad at. Okay, I'm really bad at navigating Twitter, but I want to show you. Okay, so let's see if I'm able to back this up. So I saw. Dang it! Why is this? Why is everything a nightmare? Okay, that's a person. Okay, in the Society of Women is the name of this. Is this um, Twitter account? And I found that she had the same problem. Uh, and if I can, sorry, let's see. Let's do replies. Probably should have worked this out a little better. Okay. Oh God. I don't. How do people do Twitter, man? I still don't understand how threads work in Twitter. It's a nightmare. Um, yeah. Hmm. I'm so sorry. Okay. You know, it's just it's impossible. Everything. There's all roads lead to. You can't get there from here. Let me see if I can find it this way. Okay, that's okay. So I found her, and she says, "Dear Amazon KDP, I sent them one like this." She wrote, "Enough of this. I spent 6 months last year trying to deal with you not properly packaging author copies. Oh, we'll pass this along the feedback. Does this look like you did? Two books that I need on a sensitive schedule destroyed." And she's got a picture here. And I sent them something very similar. And here's some other people. And I wrote, I have the same problem. Almost every shipment comes this way now. Nobody cares. They refund me, but that doesn't get me back the time I spend returning them or showing up to events short on books. Um, and look at that. I'm getting all sorts of views of that. All right. I'm not going to go through this Twitter feed because apparently I, I don't understand how Twitter works. So, but I did send KDP on Twitter, and I'm like, honestly, I'm not like a cancel culture someone or a Karen, but honestly, somebody needs to be fired. I mean, just there's no excuse for it. And the reason why I say there's no excuse for it is because I used to get books. It doesn't take much. Just get the right shaped box to put them in and then put enough packaging material. But people are just throwing the books in there, rip off a little bit of paper, close it, send it on its way, and it comes garbage. And then it's them that are losing the money every time they print these books and ship them, and we ship them back, and they refund us. They're losing the money. They're losing the money. So I don't understand why they can't just make that work. So all right, enough of bitching about that. I have to order a box of Perils of Perryville, and I'm going to wait till after I return because I'll get a credit, and I'd rather buy the new books on credit, and we'll just see. I mean, and the person I talked to said that they'll make sure that this problem doesn't happen again, but I know it will. I know it will. But it's still worth it for me to do this kind of stuff. So I want to hang on a second. Let me set this up a little bit better than last time. Okay, there we go. So I had kind of a surprise, a surprise. I would say impromptu book signing, I guess. So I belong, or at least they keep trying to make me belong, to the Sons of Union Veterans, and uh, Camp 62. And I'm really not in the position to be paying dues to anything. So they've comped that to me a couple times, and I'd rather them just let me go. And I'm happy to show up in my uniform and play fiddle for them anytime they want me to. But once again, the pay to play, it's hard for me to justify it right now on my starving artist income. And they had their depart. So the way it works, whether it's union or Confederate, these are organizations that kind of like they keep the memory of their ancestors that fought in the war alive, and they do a lot of work such as like maintaining gravestones and educational things, and it's a club in which people with Civil War enthusiasts can get together, and both sides have it. And because you might be, and I think the Confederates get a bad rap because yes, the war was over slavery, all that kind of stuff. Although there are some lost causers who try to say it wasn't, but most of it's just like, hey, I'm from Tennessee. My great grandfather who lived in Tennessee was conscripted or saw that the Yankees were coming down burning farms and wanted to fight to defend his state. Even though ultimately all roads lead to slavery, it doesn't mean everybody who fought was because of that reason. Okay, don't cancel me. Both you guys on the left and right, don't cancel me. Okay, I'm just all right. So anyway, so I belong to Camp 62. So you have camps, and then camps are part of departments, and departments are regions. So our department is like Tennessee, Mississippi. And then I think and then it's national. So I think it goes camps, departments, and national. There might be another strata in there. So they had a regional encampment, in which the delegates from the multiple camps in the department met, and they had voting on things and all that kind of stuff. And the invitation went out to the members, and it was like $45 to go. Or I think 40 if you register early. But it's like, and I think there was food, and there was some activities afterwards. There was like a tour of Fort Negley, and I think they all went to dinner. But I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna pay $45 to go play fiddle and dress up in my uniform and sit all day and watch a committee meeting, which is basically what it is. And but my friend Chip, who I love and who's very kind to me, a couple days out said, "Hey, I'm told you're coming to the thing." I'm like, "No, I'm not." But so they waived it for me because they wanted me to play the fiddle. Because if you don't know, I'm a fiddle player and I play a lot of Civil War stuff. So I was part of the ceremony in the opening. I came in with the color guard and I played the Battle Hymn of the Republic. And then once they got the flags on the poles, then I played the national anthem. And then during a lot of the breaks, I took I would play just to once again provide atmosphere and I wasn't planning on doing this, but it was Saturday, and I had to be there 8:00 in the morning. Not only that, I went Friday to help them set up because now that they were like comping me, now I felt kind of obligated to help out more. So I went Friday afternoon and I helped set up, and then I was there at 8:00 in the morning to help set up at 8, and then to play fiddle for the ceremonies. Sat through the committee. I didn't have I wasn't a delegate, so I didn't get to vote on anything, but I did get to speak up on a few items. And then I got to stay for lunch, of course, and then which was pretty decent. It was Wendell Smith, which is a great meet and three here in Nashville. And then during the after the meeting was done, then a lot of them went on a tour of Fort Negley, and during that time, I helped tear down everything, fold up the chairs stack the chairs and fold up the tables and carry everything out to Chip's car. But still, it's like even not having to pay, it's like I'm giving up my Saturday. I'm providing a free musical service that I would normally charge $150 for. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna make the most of it. So I did, and I figured on this one not to put. Oh, I got messages. Let me just make sure. Laura just texted me. She says, "Trying not to cry at the Lincoln Memorial. To care for him who shall have borne the battle, his widow and orphan. Yeah, that's beautiful. I just give her a heart there. She doesn't know I'm live right now. She's gonna call me at 3. Laura's in Washington D.C. right now. That's where her brother lives. She's visiting her family out there. So this is one of those instances where I think like it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And then also it's like it's too good of an opportunity to give up. We got guys coming from all over the state um, that are Civil War fans. So I was like, screw it, I'm bringing my books. So this is out in the lobby of Fort Negley, which is a fortress that was built for the purpose of the American Civil War. I think maybe the Confederates may have started it, but then the Federals came in and finished it. And so I have my own little table here, and it's funny. This is the last time I'm going to be able to put all my books on this little folding table, because I might be able to fit a third one here, but when the 6th book comes out, this table is not going to be big enough. There's my fiddle, and I just, I was like, I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to do, and I just set it up. It wasn't obnoxious about it. It was out of the way. Put up some signs, and sure enough, I made some sales. This guy right here, I had to look up who Chesty freaking Polar, who is. This guy's a hero. Not from 1775. He's a 20th century warrior. I think he was born in the late 19th century, but he fought in, I think, both world wars, and I think he died. I don't know. But an American warrior. So this guy's he's an ex-Marine. He bought the whole series. He bought all 5 books for $55. If you buy them all, I knock some of the price off. I think he bought them for someone else, so I was able to sign those. And see, this is what I mean. This is why I'm so furious about getting damaged books. Do you think I'm going to sell this veteran here a damaged book because somebody in a warehouse needs to be fired because they don't care about their job and can't take in some extra care? I understand that they're pressured, but I mean, come on, man. This guy here bought Blood for Blood at Nashville. That's what I really wanted to make sure that I was offering, because this book here, it's more than just the Battle of Nashville, but the climax is the Battle of Nashville, and of course, and Fort Negley is in the book. So all these guys have come to Nashville to take part of this encampment, and they're all Civil War buffs. So definitely we should be presenting my novel that, well, I should be presenting my novel that deals with the Battle of Nashville. And like I always say, all the historical characters and the battles and historical aspects of my books are all true. And then my characters are interwoven into that. And then this is Chris Sears. He's part of my camp. Great guy. He's bought every one of my books, so he just needed the latest one, Prussian Prince. And I gotta say, man, look how happy I am. I look goofy, but I'm happy. I've sold 7 books. I'm able to put some money back into the because I spend like $100 over $100 to buy a box of books, right? And so I can put some money back into my account that I spent buying books, and I'm still in the red when it comes to like the inventory I have for 2024 and what I've sold. And yet I can't get a box of books that's not banged up, that doesn't look like this. It's nuts. So anyway, what's coming up here? Like I said, I'm working on book 6, which is called The French Fiasco. I'm very excited about. I really am. Sometimes I start a book and I'm not quite sure how well it's going to go. This one, and I'll tell you, this book that I'm writing now is what the Prussian Prince was originally supposed to be. The original idea was we were going to take the main character and put him in the Franco-Prussian War after the American Civil War. The timing didn't work out because if I waited for the Franco-Prussian War, I'd have him sitting around for 6 years or 5 years doing nothing. And there are things that he needs to not know basically, when I started writing the Prussian Prince, I realized that I was writing two books. That I had events happening that really I broke it in two. So the Prussian Prince is a story about a, an American Civil War vet comes home to be with his wife and finds out that she has gone back to Germany. And so he goes to Berlin to be reunited with her, and he ends up getting mixed up in the war, the Austro-Prussian War. And then the end of that book sets up the adventure that's going to happen with the Franco-Prussian War, and it's great. There's going to be some big surprises. There's going to be some old fuck moments where like he is totally screwed. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, a lot. It's going to be a great book. It's going to be the book that I originally was going to write. I'm very proud of the Prussian Prince. It's a surprise book, I guess, in a lot of ways. But anyway, that's what's happening on the writing front. On the talking front, this is what I'm doing. I made this today. I am going to be speaking at the Chalmers Sons of Confederate Veterans Camp 1312. It's free and open to the public and even to Yankees like me. They're really nice guys. This is actually at a law office. It's a very small venue. It's actually like in a conference room as opposed to like an auditorium where I've done a lot of my talks. But we're going to do, this is a talk that I came up with. I originally did this talk for Untold Civil War podcasts. With Paul, he asked me if because he knew I had a Mexican book out, could I do a talk with him? And I said, well, to be honest with you, the Mexico I Love isn't really about Civil War guys in the Mexican War, although Grant does make an appearance in it. It's more of a Mexican point of view. I said, but I can put together a talk for you. And he said that'd be great. So I picked four guys. I started with Grant because Grant is literally in the book. He makes a cameo. And then I picked Robert E. Lee because I can't talk about Grant and not talk about Lee. And Lee is a rock star in the Civil War and in the Mexican War. The Mexican War is where Lee really, the legend of Lee really starts growing. I did Braxton Bragg. I just picked guys that are in my book. So Braxton Bragg plays a big role in the Perils of Perryville because at that time he's the commander of the Army of Tennessee. And I really enjoyed Braxton Bragg. He's one of my favorite characters, just historically. Is he a great general? No. Is he a nice guy? No, he's a complete asshole. But I like him. He's funny. There's a lot of funny stories about him. He's just a cantankerous, argumentative martinet. Now, I do think that he has some value. Like, I think a lot of people might disagree with me, but Braxton Bragg and McCullough, what's his name? Little Mac, what's his name? McCullough is for the, is a Union general, and Braxton Bragg is a Confederate general. Both of these men were great at building armies, training and disciplining them. They were both bad at commanding armies in battle. They may have been really good at the brigade or even the divisional or even corps level, but they were terrible army commanders. And Braxton Bragg, for all his faults, was personally brave, and a lot of that shows up in the Mexican War. And there is a Fort Bragg. Now, there was Fort Bragg where the 82nd Airborne is stationed. They've changed. I can't remember the name, but they've changed in this round of renaming all the Confederate named bases in America something else. It's no longer Fort Bragg. It's something else. It's like Fort Freedom or something stupid. But there's still Fort Bragg in California. And I don't think that's going to change. And the reason why is that the Fort Bragg in North Carolina was named after him because he was a Confederate. And the reason why they did that, by the way, just so you understand, the reason why they did it was not because they were white supremacists or they were pro-Confederate. It was because they were putting U.S. federal army bases in the South, and they didn't want the Confederate or the Southerners to feel like it was an occupation. So they named the bases after Confederate generals. It was more of a PR campaign that was necessary then, but it's no longer necessary now. And that's why they changed it. It's as simple as that. And forts get changed. The names changed all the time. Depends on who's running them. But Fort Bragg, California, is a very nice coastal town, which I and probably most people watching this could not afford to live there. And it's named after Braxton Bragg, not because of his career in the Confederacy, but for his deeds in the Mexican-American War. So there you go. And then here is Gordon Granger. And Gordon Granger is the first, I would say, real commander of the 2nd Michigan. The 2nd Michigan, during in its inception, had a British-born Lieutenant Colonel Davies. I can't remember his full name, but I don't know what happened to him or where he went. And the guy claimed to have fought for Her Majesty's Army during the Crimean War, which was about 10 years prior to the American Civil War. Or no, not quite. It's probably less than that. The Crimean War is like the early 1850s, early to mid 1850s, somewhere along there. But anyway, so Davies was commander. He was a lieutenant colonel. He was commander of the 2nd Michigan, all the way up until while they were mustering in Michigan during their initial training in Grand Rapids, and then eventually they get sent down to St. Louis to train there, and that's where they get Gordon Granger as their first commander. And Gordon Granger is their commander during the Battle of Island Number 10, although he quickly jumps up from regimental commander to a brigade commander, and eventually Gordon Granger will be I believe a corps commander, and he's really famous for his defense and his saving of General Thomas at the Battle of Chickamauga, and there's more to his story, including the story of Juneteenth. So we will be we'll be dealing with that. I have also in my books April 6th. I gotta start planning for that one. That one is going to be in Mississippi, and it's like in the middle of the state of Mississippi. So that's going to definitely take some traveling. I'll probably have to get a hotel room overnight. And it's somebody I met at one of the shows. And that's what's great. I go to the shows, and a lot of times, people come by and they're interested in me doing a talk at their camp. So yeah, it's funny because I do a lot of Confederate camps, and the reason being is because, well, I live in the South, and there's not a lot of Union camps in the South, if you can imagine that. I've heard that Ohio is probably one of the biggest states for Sons of Union veterans. My own state, Michigan, also. I'd love to go back to Michigan and do some talks up there, but I just haven't really gotten around to trying to book myself. Maybe this summer we'll try to do that. I think that's all I got to talk about this time. Like I said, we're going to do this. I'm going to try to do this once a week at minimum. Like I said, if I have a lot of things happening, I might during a busy period, I might appear do more and more. But the default will be once a week, usually on Sunday afternoon. We'll see. Like I said, and I'll tell you, this is something that you as an author or whatever you do, you have to really, in this world, there's so much that we can do. And I think there's a what's the word? I can't come up with words anymore. there's a desire to do everything, an enticement, trying to think of the word. Anyway, can't think of it. But temptation to do everything. Oh, I'm going to be a podcaster and I'm going to write books. I'm going to write articles and I'm going to have a YouTube channel and I'm going to do this and that and this and that, and that. You can't do it all. At least I can't. And so I had to decide what's really important. And the most important thing for me is writing books and publishing them. That's number one. There was a time where the fiddle's always there. I practice it every day, but that's an auxiliary thing. That I'm not turning away work, but I'm not looking for fiddle work. I just take it as it comes. There's all sorts of things like that. I have a blog, but I don't force myself. I only write in the blog when I feel like it. I want it to be low maintenance, meaning I'm not like going crazy, like building a set and really going out there with doing 10-minute videos and trying to build a channel. I am trying to build the channel, but I'm letting it build organically. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just doing a weekly live. Lives aren't always the best as far as the algorithm goes. They really want you to do shorter videos, 10-minute videos. But the other thing that this does is I'm letting it grow organically, but it also allows me to practice just presenting and speaking off the cuff, so that when I do a public appearance, that I have all this experience and I'm comfortable with speaking and talking. So that's really what it is. But please, if you haven't already, give me a like, subscribe, and we'll be back next week. I love you guys. And I always say this, and none of this is scripted, so I don't have like this like thing I say at the end and the beginning of every show like everybody else does. But if you got authors that you like and you're reading, make sure you give those authors 5 stars or as many stars as you think they deserve. And if you can on Amazon and Goodreads, and if you can go a step further, give them a review. It can be just a couple lines like, hey, I love this book, couldn't put it down. It really helps. You can do it for me, man. I really appreciate it. But thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys next week. And keep reading, keep writing.